This is Can't Get Right MMA, and today I'm going over how welterweight became the best division. Now let's get into the summary. I'm going to be going over the quick title picture Kickstarter, which was Leon versus Bilal and their rivalry. I'm going to go over the ranked fighters, and I'm going to go into the title picture as of today. And with all these fighters, whether that be just fighters in the rankings, former champions, the current champion, or title contenders, I'm going to be going over their resume, win or loss. And then I'm going to be going over their notable finishes, whether that be KO or submission. I'm going to go into their career trajectory, where I think they're going to go in the future, and how promising they are. And then, just for a little treat for y'all, I'm going to get into their style and how they fight. And just a little style breakdown for y'all. But let me address the elephant in the room. It's obvious, Islam Makhachev, man, he's moving up to welterweight to try to get that double champ status. But we will get to that. We'll get to that later in the video. Alright, let's get to the title picture Kickstarter. Bilal versus Leon. After Leon got some wins in the welterweight division, he racked up a nice 9-fight win streak, and then he won the belt off of Kamaru Usman, the second best welterweight of all time, with that head kick. Now, after that, Leon did defend the belt by defeating Usman in the trilogy, and then he defended the belt against Colby Covington. He cannot turn his back to Bilal any longer, man, because Leon really was being a hypocrite, kind of dismissing Bilal and the rematch. He was dismissing the rematch after their fight, and he was even dismissing the rematch after he defended the belt against Colby Covington.
It was here earlier. It kind of seemed like Bilal Muhammad would be next, being that he's the backup and all that. But Dana said, I'm not ready to make that decision right now. Yeah. Do you see it as like he should be next? Does that feel like an unfinished chapter, or do you feel like maybe there's other options?
Nah, there definitely other options, you know. I don't feel like Bilal should be next. You know, I've done it before. I've won like 10 fights in a row, didn't get a title shot. So what makes him different or more privileged, you know? So Kobe's already skipped the line already. So let's see who's next. And but like I said, I am. This is Rocky's era. This is my era now, and I always keep praying and keep whoever's next. Doesn't matter, you know. They're all similar styles anyway. They're all boxers, wrestlers, and this is what I'll build my career on it, you know. So
come on, the fight got booked. Now, two decisionators, we all knew it was gonna go the full 5 rounds. I really liked Bilal, man. Like, I really liked Bilal's trash talk because he really had a chip on his shoulder, and he seemed like such a game fighter, even though I didn't really like his style, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's get into the fight. Bully B dominated Leon Edwards over the course of 5 rounds. Dana White, man, he turned to Dana Red, bro. He was pissed wrapping the belt around Bilal, bro. Deadass. And then, bro, also, Leon telling his coach, shut the fuck up, was insane, bro. His coach tried to do the whole Aura Farm speech again in the corner. You want me to stop this fight? Like, oh my god. Yeah.
Sit down. Do you want me to stop this fucking fight? Well, you fucking go.
Yeah, that shit was funny, but people didn't really like that Bilal won against Leon. But really, was Leon ever any better? People didn't like Bilal Muhammad because he was a boring decisionator. What is Leon Edwards? A boring decisionator. You know what I'm saying? And then after that fight, Bilal was calling out Shavkat. He was like, Shavkat's the hardest guy. He's the menacing guy in the division. He called him out. That's what I'm saying. That's why I mess with Bilal. That's why I fought with Bilal. The only bad part about Bilal's reign, I kind of got to put reign in quotation, sadly, for him, was that he was injured. He was injured, and he was out for a little bit. Bilal versus Shavkat did not end up happening. But he couldn't really control that, right? He's the one who called Shavkat out. And then Ian Gary, being a real fighter, real game fighter, stepped up on short notice to fight Shavkat. This is why I like the welterweight division. I'm going to get to Ian Gary, man. I'm going to get to Ian Gary. This was a title picture then. Now, JDM is the champion after he beat Bilal, and he is representing the new generation of the welterweight division. Hamzat was a part of the new generation of the welterweight division, but he got kicked up to middleweight. Now, let's get into the ranked fighters. Like I said in the intro, I'm going to be going over their resume, notable finishes, career trajectory, and I'm going to go into a style breakdown. Let's start at the number 9 ranked fighter in the welterweight division, Carlos the Nightmare Prates. Let's go over his finishes. In the Dana White Contender Series, he KO'd Mitch Ramirez in round number 2. In the UFC, he KO'd Trevor Giles in round number 2. And then he KO'd Charles Radke with a knee to the body. Beautiful, by the way. He KO'd Li Jingliang in round number 2 after dropping him a lot with the right hook. And then he KO'd Neil Magny. Like, he grazed Neil Magny's temple, and Neil Magny immediately fell down. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get to his power whenever I go deeper into his fights. And then he got that spinning elbow KO over Jeff Neal. Jeez Louise, man. I'm telling you, Carlos the Nightmare Prates is not someone you want to mess with. Now, let's get into Carlos Prates' style. He's a Thai fighter, right? So he's able to throw and check leg kicks literally off a reflex. He's a poker, right? But he marauds at the same time. Like he'll throw that spinning back kick. He'll make sure he hits you with long rangey shots. But it's the pace. Like, he'll just keep doing it as much as he wants. Now, I'm not saying that Carlos Prates is the type of fighter that weaponizes pace. But I'm just saying he uses output way much more than some of these other strikers that love to be on their bike and be on the back foot. Yeah, he's a Thai fighter, right? So he has some snapping, whipping roundhouse kicks. And also, he has good use of footwork for a Thai fighter, right? Because everybody knows the weakness when it comes to Thai fighters is that they are kind of too stationary. Really, footwork is their weakness. Some Thai fighters tend to be stuck in the mud, and sitting there and trading shots isn't always going to work for you, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, he has good use of footwork for a Thai fighter, but a subtle weakness in his game is someone who is fast and can blitz him. But also, I want to talk about the power of Prates. He literally grazes his opponents, and they fall. I'm literally talking about Neil Magny, like I was saying earlier. He has one punch or knee KO power out of nowhere. Nobody reacts good whenever Prates lands clean, I'm telling you. Also, besides the power, I want to talk about some of the other tools he had in his game and also his presence in the cage, right? He has that like cool Cuban pivot where he just moves his head just out of the way to pivot off somebody's punch, which I'm pretty sure Rufy has that. Yeah, some other fighters use that it's got the fighting nerd swag. Obviously, they didn't invent it. I'm just saying they use it, and it's pretty cool to see. And also, I like how he plays with the hands a bit whenever he's on the feet. But like I was saying, I was going to talk about his presence in the cage. He's very long. He has very good use of his frame when it comes to the striking. Like I said, he will poke at you, but maraud at the same time, like with long knees and head kicks. He's very fast twitch when it comes to offense, just long bone density. Just he's kind of like Anderson Silva and Alex Pereira when it comes to that. Now I want to talk about his grappling, since he is mainly a striker. I want to get into his grappling. He does get controlled for a bit, right? I said a bit on the mat and on the fence, but he stuffs many takedowns, right? Even Ian Gary's. Another thing I can kind of pick out about his grappling is he has bad exiting after grappling exchanges, right? Sometimes he'll get caught on the break right after a grappling exchange happens. I'd say that's another weakness in his game. And to be honest, I think he should train with Oliveira and Ian Gary, really put his frames and long limbs to use. But speaking of Ian Gary, he lost a 5-round decision to Ian Gary, but he hurt Ian bad in the last round, right? He hurt Ian bad in that last round. Then he bounced back with a spinning LLKO over Jeff Neal, the guy he was originally supposed to fight. The future looking bright for Carlos Prates because he's about to fight a former reigning champion in Leon Edwards. Now let's get on to the number 8 ranked fighter in the welterweight division, Michael Morales. He KO'd Trevin Giles, he KO'd Adam Fugit, he KO'd Neil Magny, and he KO'd Gilbert Burns in his most recent fight. He is 18-0 in the welterweight division. Now let's talk about his style, right? I'd say he's more of a fighter than a mixed martial artist, right? But when I say this is not a bad thing at all, right? Because that's actually a compliment to a degree. It just depends on the context. But yeah, he's more of a fighter than a mixed martial artist. He doesn't need everything just to be clean and perfect before he throws it. He's not the type of fighter to throw a 1-2 super perfect technique just to admire his work. You know, he's just in the fight. Also, something I want to mention is that he's very composed because he believes in his power, right? And to be honest, I really feel like his game plan is just to break his opponent's rhythm. Like he'll find his opponent's rhythm just to break it. I think that's how he finds a lot of his success. He just keeps breaking his opponent's rhythm and just throw something out there. For example, he'll throw that spinning back fist. He'll throw that Superman punch off the cage. He'll throw that strike with no setup just to make his opponents think. It's really the timing of it, you know? And like I said, his game plan is to break his opponent's rhythm and then hurt his opponent and just go from there. To be honest, I think he does kind of have suspect distance management, but like I said, the power, man. He just has that weird power and random shots will hurt his opponent. He's booked this weekend at UFC 322 against number 2 welterweight contender in the world, Sean Brady. And man, this is going to be a banger fight. So stay tuned, tap into the stream, my fight companions, and me going over the card and me breaking down the card after it's done. But I'd say Michael Morales' main weapons are his power, his unorthodox style, and rhythm. Let's get into Joaquin Numanza Buckley, man. Number 7 ranked welterweight in the world. He was a former middleweight, and I'm saying he said himself, man, the middleweight's just getting too big, man. So he dropped down to welterweight. Notable names: he KO'd Wonderboy, basically TKO'd Dr. Stoppage against Kobe Covington because of a cut. And yeah, he's been doing pretty good. He also TKO'd Vicente Luque. So Joaquin Buckley is most known for that spin kick. And I'd say Joaquin Buckley, man, he's just like a bomber boxer, and just a gritster really. He's like an output mogger. He just throws so many combinations, and he always wants to hit the body. Like I said, just a bomber style of boxing as well, just throwing hooks and pretty respectable power. Like he doesn't have like crazy KO, but like you can see when he lands, people don't want to get hit by those shots again because he'll hit you with a hard shot and then hit you with a lot of hard shots once he finds the mark. But recently he lost to an all-time great. You know what I'm saying? It's like he lost recently, but like I said, to an all-time great. No fault in that, in Kamaru Usman in his last fight. But Joaquin Buckley is still one of my favorite fighters. And bro, Cuck vs. Buck, man, that was gonna be a classic. I wonder if that will ever get booked still after all this time. Now let's get into number 6 ranked Ian the Future Machado Gary. Now I say Ian Gary, man. I'm gonna let you know what I like about Ian Gary, and I'm gonna say my other thoughts about Ian Gary that everybody wants to know. He's very polarizing, right? But he had that polarization has star potential. Ian, I said right here, Ian is a cunt, man, but he loves this sport. He is a very game fighter, and he didn't duck Sean Brady. He's a company man, bro. He's doing what he needs to do, very active, and he did not duck Sean Brady. He just why not just take on the former champ, Bilal Muhammad? It's just much, you know how it is, bro. And I want Ian Gary to win against Bilal and get a title shot because I like how he mixes it up better than Bilal, just in general with the striking and the grappling, and he's been putting a lot of work in this division. Like I said, he's just a very game fighter, and he's a real fighter, really. He's not a guy that likes to talk behind the screen. And he has a kickboxing base, but he has pretty good jiu-jitsu, might I add, you know what I'm saying? Good transitions. He is a decision fighter, but he has great fundamentals and high fight IQ. Bilal, he's kind of just getting older and older, and I hope Ian can rep the new generation of the welterweight division. Like I said, I just like his grappling and striking better aesthetics-wise than Bilal Muhammad, and since he's a newer guy, I want him to stay in the rankings. And yeah, Ian Gary did get some KOs. He got a KO over Jordan Williams, right? He got a KO with a barrage of punches, and then even a barrage of punches with Sant Kanan, and a head kick followed with a barrage of punches. against Daniel Rodriguez, right? He has power, right? But he hasn't really been finishing guys at the highest level considering he did become a vegan, you know? But he still wins at the highest level. That's the thing. He still wins at the highest level. And when he wins, he just shows that he is the better fighter. Even displays he's the better fighter over the course of 25 minutes. And even when he loses, he shows he is a very competitive and competent fighter, which he only has one loss against a beast in Shavkat Rakhmonov, which we'll get into that here soon. But before we get into that, let's get into the former champion, Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman. Alrighty, before the title, he had an 8-fight win streak. Notable names are part of that win streak. Leon Edwards, right? Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, their first fight. Rafael dos Anjos, Damian Maia, and even Sean Strickland, which was a win that aged better because Sean Strickland became a champion in the middleweight division. And he also had one KO and then one submission as he was going on that win streak. But now, once he got the opportunity for the title against Tyron Woodley and he dominated him over the course of 5 rounds, just put on an absolute clinic, he started his title reign. His title reign being getting the belt from Woodley and then defending it against Colby Covington where he got a TKO, broke his jaw, and then he beat Jorge Masvidal the first time, and then he KO'd Gilbert Burns, and then he KO'd Jorge Masvidal the second time in the rematch. And then he had a rematch with Colby Covington, and he beat him then via unanimous decision. So Marty Juzman is the second best welterweight of all time. Just joking, of course, right? But no, he's the second best behind George St. Pierre in terms of legacy, title reign, all of that, right? And he wants the title back, but people always talk about win fight, win streak, and I'm probably going to make a video sometime soon about how people are just throwing away Justin Gaethje and Kamaru Usman talking about their one fight title win streak, and I really appreciate Islam Makhachev bringing Usman's name into the title picture, even though, of course, some people like Sean Brady, Ian Gary, and Shavkat Rakhmonov deserve the title as well, of course. But I'm just saying, Kamaru Usman is the second best welterweight of all time, has second most defenses, and I think that would just be good modern day legacy. And the reason people don't like it is because he has the wobbly, the cobbly knees, the cobblestone knees. But like he always had the wobblestone, cobblestone knees ever since like before he even got the title. You know what I'm saying? And also another reason is he has a 3-fight skid and only a 1-fight win streak. Right? He's 3 in his last 4. He has 3 losses in his last 4 fights. But really, he only has 1 bad loss in the division, in my opinion, right? Because his first loss, right, when he lost the title against Leon Edwards, the better fighter lost that fight. Kamaru Usman lost that fight. He was beating him up, right? He was just beating him, right? And it was just like a last-second fluke KO, bro. I'm not trying to diss Leon. And also, Kamaru Usman took that loss well. I remember he was reflecting on that loss, and he was saying, oh, luck's not what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he wasn't practicing the head kick. And that's like a very base take, right? A good way to take a loss as a fighter. But like I said, the better fighter lost that day. Kamaru Usman was basically about to rack up another title defense in Leon Edwards, but the head kick landed, and then his title reign goes. In the trilogy, that's really the bad loss for Kamaru Usman because he actually lost. He just lost via unanimous decision, and that was that. So that's what I'm saying. He only has one real loss in my head in his division, but he lost to Hamzat. But that was at middleweight, right? And that was a close fight. Of course, Hamzat was doing his thing in the first couple rounds, but Kamaru Usman was being like the toughest out ever and defending very, very, very well. And that was such an entertaining fight for the first couple of rounds. But yeah, I wonder what a 5-round fight would have looked like, man. Because y'all remember the Hamzat's fight with Gilbert at welterweight. Like I'm saying, man, in my opinion, he only has one real bad loss, which was when he lost via unanimous decision against Leon Edwards in their trilogy. And he just came off of a win, right? I don't get, you think Kamaru Usman just about to rack up a crazy contender run, so he just took out Joaquin Buckley. After that, he's going to take on Shavkat, Carlos Prates, and then he's going to take on Sean Brady to make sure he earns a spot at the title. No, he already earned a spot at the title, and like I said, he only has really one bad loss in his own division. He should say this for that Kamaru Usman and Justin Gaethje video. He deserves a title shot, dog, and when's the best time to do it now? Because he's just going to get older and older. Like, all these people going to have their chance at the title as Kamaru just gets older and older. I just think we should go ahead and get that Kamaru Usman fight out of the way, and then focus on the next hungry contender and stuff like that, because there's a lot of people who lay claim to the title, and it's also, people act like you need the title to gain legacy. Ian Gary, he's gaining a legacy. Shavkat Rakhmonov, he's gaining legacy without even fighting for the title. You know what I'm saying? Marab, he had so much legacy before he even got to the title. It's not all about title defenses, bro. They're going to get their title, bro, but they're already going to have their legacy established, if you get what I'm saying. So just let Kamaru Usman get a chance at the title. He is the second best welterweight of all time. He's one of the best welterweight in his era. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's, like I said, the best in his era off of resume, right? One of the greatest in the division. But he was ducking Bilal. Because that's the reason he's ducking Bilal is because he really wants to retire. He wants to get the welterweight title and the middleweight title. People always talk about that's delusion, right? But come on now. Yeah, he just wants to hurry up and retire. So that's the reason he's ducking Bilal. That would have been a good fight. That's what I really want. He shut that fight down so quick, bro, because he's like, who, Bilal? Who's that? In the interviews. But dog, that's all right. That's actually what he needs to do. He needs to stop ducking Bilal, and then he can get the title. How about that? That's like a good middle ground we can go in, right? He can beat Buckley, then beat Bilal, and then he gets the title. Yeah, how about that? The reason he was ducking Bilal, like I said, because he wants to retire, and he doesn't want that footage coming out of him crying on the Pound for Pound podcast, bro. Bilal, he made Kamaru Usman cry. I'm saying, a lot of these people like to, yeah, bro. They never really want to say his name, though. They're like, who is that? I don't remember the name. They don't want nothing to do with Bilal. But let's get into the number 4 ranked fighter, Leon Rocky Edwards. He has 2 L's recently in his last two fights against Bilal Muhammad. He lost via decision, and then Brady took his soul. No diss to Leon Edwards. Hold on, actually, I should give more props to Leon Edwards in here, right? Because how the division became the best. I need to give him more props, but like I said, he just kind of has an uncertain future, and he's fighting Carlos Prates, right? This is his future right now. He's fighting Carlos Prates, a dangerous machine in the cage, you know. Who knows how his future? He might get 3 L's back to back, but he was a champion. He did KO Kamaru Usman, and he did win against Kamaru Usman via unanimous decision. He also racked up a crazy win streak, I believe. 9-fight win streak. And you know how people say, oh, they're 1-1, right? Oh, one person won, this person won against this one person one time, and vice versa. I'd say he's 1.5 and 1.5 with Usman, bro, because the trilogy, like I said, the better man lost in their second fight, and then Leon got a good legit win against him in their trilogy, right? And then obviously they fought the other time. So yeah, they're 1.5 and 1.5 against each other. So he had that notable win streak, like I stated in the beginning of the video. But like I said, he has some problems ahead against marauding grapplers, and who knows, even just dangerous KO strikers like Carlos Prates. Like I said, a lot of people think Leon Edwards is going to get KO'd in his next fight. So we're going to see this weekend, man. This is pre-UFC 322. Let's get into the number 3 ranked welterweight in the world, Shavkat Rakhmonov. He has been inactive lately, sadly, but it's not really his fault, right? It's not really his fault. He's been kind of freaked up with injuries, man, and also a lot of things going on in his personal life, which sucks. But let's get into his style and everything else, right? Bro is like on Dead Huz, bro. Dead Huz, he is literally a clinch knee spammer. I love clinch knees to the body. I love when people just literally just rah, just like a soldier, just knee and marauding with knees to the body, because it's just beautiful, right? They clash in with some punches, boom, knee to the body, just stirred up every time. It's just such an amazing thing to see. He's also very strong for the division, right? He I don't know if he cuts a lot of weight or something, but he's very strong for the division, and he really he knows how to finish a fight, right? He almost has a 100% finish rate. He had a 100% finish rate going against Ian Gary, but obviously you can't even finish Ian Gary. It's just, you know how it is. But yeah, Ian versus Shavkat did feel the streets. That was a big divisional fight, and this is what I was talking about, how these guys are gaining legacy before they even have to even touch the belt. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Kamaru Usman get the title shot. But yeah, he's just a marauder. He's very good in the clinch. He knows how to finish the fight, whether that be submission or a knockout. Now let's get into some of his resume, some people he beat. He got a spinning heel kick over Carlston Harris. He subbed Neil Magny with the guillotine. He subbed Jeff Neal and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson with the rear naked choke. And he beat / survived against Ian Gary and won won by decision. He's 19-0 in the welterweight division. 18 of those fights being a finish, like I said, knockout or submission. He should be the number 1 contender, but inactivity is really getting to him, because Jack Della Maddalena beat Bilal Muhammad, and since Bilal Muhammad was the champion, he's the number 1 contender, and since Sean Brady beat a former champion in Leon Edwards, he's a number 2 contender. So Shavkat Rakhmonov is at number 3 without even losing a fight, and still staying 19-0 and almost having a 100% finish rate. So yeah, when it gets to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or just any of these guys, man, all these guys are dangerous. So that's why the division is so good right now. Now let's get into the number 2 ranked welterweight in the world, Sean Brady, 18-1. Let's get into some of his notable wins. He got a win over Kelvin Gastelum with a Kimura. Beautiful. I love joint locks. I can rant about that all day. And then he won against Gilbert Burns by unanimous decision. And then recently, his best win and his most recent win against the former champion, Leon Edwards. The former reigning champion, might I add, right? And he beat Leon Edwards with that crafty man's guillotine. I gotta mention, he did get TKO'd by Bilal, right? But he's still making his name in the title picture. His only loss was to Bilal, and he's 18-1. You know what I'm saying? But let's really talk about Leon versus Brady. He really took his soul with that grueling grappling style. It's more like jiu-jitsu focused, like on his approach to the grappling. And Demetrius Johnson was talking about how there's this term called like cooking the beans, right? What he really did was just cooking the beans, being in position, just grinding them out, and just making Leon Edwards tired. And then he subbed.
When we do MMA sparring, like, it's different because I just learned this. It's called cooking the beans. The Brazilian called it cooking the beans. You need to cook the beans. And he's like, you see, my friend, when you take people down, you like to posture up, punch him in the face, pass guard. And I was like, yes, that's how I've been trained. That's how Matt trains me. He goes, okay, now I'm gonna teach you something else. And Matt's like, okay, you need to learn this side of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He goes, called cooking the beans. You know, you can't just throw beans in a pot and then expect to eat them. It'll be hard. You need to cook your beans, let them simmer, and then you can eat them. So that's what you gotta do in this part of Jiu-Jitsu. You need to get in there, work it, change your pushes, let them get tired, and then once they get tired, then you can enjoy your dinner.
It wasn't a Hail Mary guillotine or just I got your neck. It was very planned, and also it was like a modified guillotine. The way he snuck it in there, right? It was just one of the best ways you can win against that type of competition. Like I said, he's a former reigning champion, and he just dominated him through the course of like the whole fight until he snuck that nice modified guillotine in. I'm telling you, it was just amazing, right? It was a phenomenal performance. He's just very strong for the division, a tank for the division. So I wonder how his striking is going to develop. I believe, you know what I'm saying, he's going to stay just in the rankings, of course. Now let's get into the number 1 contender, the former champion, Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad. He like I said, he was just the champion. He didn't get not even 1 title defense, but I think he is very underrated, right? The reason he didn't get that title defense is because he got dismissed due to his style. He should have already fought for the title, but there's a lot of things delaying that, right? Like I said, people not wanting to fight him, and also that whole eye injury and stuff like that. He was one of the first of the old heads or slash like elite of the top of the division, right, to fight the new generation of the welterweight division. Besides Hamza and Kamaru up a weight class, or even Burns as well. So, but you get what I'm saying. He's one of the first of the elite to face a guy like Jack Della Maddalena, or you know what I'm saying, get a fight booked with like Shavkat Rakhmonov. You know that it didn't happen. Like I said, he's just one of the first of the elite to face the new generation. But also, I want to talk about his style a little bit. I'm gonna make fun of him, but like I said, I'm not too much of a fan of his style. But do y'all agree that Bilal, bro, he looks like he has dementia when it comes to grappling, right? He will get to a position and just stay there with like a 1,000-yard stare. It's just, I don't know, it makes you laugh every time looking at that. But Bilal, to be honest, bro, Bilal's get back for those eye pokes against Leon Edwards, that was so satisfying, bro. That was so satisfying to watch. But let's get into the champion of the welterweight division, Jack Della Maddalena. All right, so Jack Della Maddalena, he's a part of the new generation of the welterweight division. He's undefeated in the UFC. He was 0-2 when he first started in the regionals. Now he's just undefeated, racking up an 18-fight win streak. And he really is just a serial killer in the cage, just Jack the Ripper. He got that fluent orbiting boxing, knees standing and flying, with proven counter wrestling, right? He always hit a switch. He always have a reversal in his back pocket. His switch stance boxing is just amazing. Literally, boxing is his first language. He took Bilal's title reign. Like I said, Bilal couldn't even get a defense because here comes Jack Della Maddalena coming out of the woodworks after that performance with Gilbert Burns and just... What was it? He 4-1 to Bilal Muhammad. That's crazy. He really seized his opportunity for the title whenever Shavkat was injured, because Shavkat, he got injured whenever Bilal versus Shavkat was booked, and since Ian Gary was coming off of a loss to Shavkat, he couldn't fight for the title, so here comes Jack Della Maddalena seizing his opportunity and 4-1ing Bilal. And I said this before in other videos, that Jack Della Maddalena, man, he looked like a championship fighter even in Cage Warriors, right? He always has a switch counter in his back pocket when someone tries to get a single leg on him against the cage. He knows how to strike. He knows how to reverse. He just knows how to, like, his composure, like, is one of the best in the division, and he just sees everything coming more often than not. And I'm going to get into more of Jack Della Maddalena after UFC 322, and same with Islam Makhachev after 322. So tune into that, and I'm going to break down more of the style in depth that like Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena from their regional fights all the way to after UFC 322. But let's get into Islam Makhachev, man. He is a lineal lightweight champion, multiple defenses, elite resume, and he is the lightweight GOAT. He has lighter man skill on his side, and let's see how far that can take him. Islam Makhachev was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world for a while also, despite what old head Dana was talking about John Jones. But Ilia Topuria, he stole that pound-for-pound #1 spot from him when he became a double champ. And this double champ status for Islam Makhachev is going to be, it will take his career and legacy to another level. And his future, then, he says he's going to defend against Usman. He's saying a bunch of other stuff. I don't really know how long he's going to stay in the division, but like I said in other videos, I'm not going to look past Jack Della Maddalena. There's no way you can look past Jack Della Maddalena. Who knows if he'll win this fight, and if he does, who will he defend it against? Will he retire soon after? How many defenses is he planning on getting in? But let's get over his resume. I'm going to go over his resume and some parts of his style. I'm going to get into a more deeper breakdown from both of these championship fighters after UFC 322. Islam Makhachev is 27-1. One loss, that being the fluke against Adriano Martin. And also, you could even take a lot of his wins out because remember, guys, 2-rounders don't count. You know what I'm saying? That those fights in Russia, they don't be counting, man. I don't know why it's on their professional career. But I'm just joking, of course, right? But let's get into his actual resume, right? He KO'd Gleison Tebow. He defeated Arman Soyrukian, right? He subbed Drew Dober. He subbed Dan Hooker. That was a great win against Dan Hooker. Just immediately got him. Locked in that Kimura. Beautiful finish. First round, immediately got him to the ground. And then Kimura, that's just what we love about the sport, you know? So he got a sub against Dober, Moises, and Dan Hooker, and then he got that TKO against Bobby Green, and then he submitted Charles Oliveira to win the title. He won the title against Charles Oliveira, rocked him with the hook, and then followed him to the ground, past his guard, and then there we go, arm triangle. And then he beat Alexander Volkanovski in a nice close fight. He outstruck one of the best strikers in the UFC, bro. Alexander Volkanovski is a smooth criminal in the cage, and he beat him, via unanimous decision. And then he KO'd him, but we're not going to talk about that. He got the head kick. So got 2 win over Alexander Volkanovski, who also got his belt back after that. So, yeah, he also submitted Dustin Poirier with that Darce choke after that great takedown. He locked into north-south and got his modified Darce choke. And then did the same thing with Moicano. He, whenever Moicano tried to wrestle up, north-south, boom, easy modified Darce choke. Just beautiful. So, Islam Makhachev, he has that Sambo background, you know what I'm saying, where they focus on, he's such a great judoka. Islam Makhachev and Habib, they're great judokas. So, they have all these trips, they have these throws, and then they secure it into a great position. They have good jiu-jitsu from the top, and then the wrestling is relentless. yeah, I can go on and on about Islam Makhachev style, and I will whenever after UFC 322 because I really want to get this video out before then. So yeah, man, just stay tuned for that. Also, I want to give y'all these honorable mentions in Michael Venom Page, and also Joel Alvarez. Michael Venom Page, he was also kind of known as a can crusher, quote unquote, because he was in Bellator, right? But then he debuted in the UFC against Kevin Holland, schooled him, you know what I'm saying, put on a show for the fans, and was just looking slick as freak, you know. And then he lost to Ian Gary recently and moved up to middleweight. That's why I got to add him as an honorable mention. He moved up to middleweight, but I don't know if he ever is going to come back to welterweight. Hopefully he does because I love MVP style, and whatever he does, man, whatever his next fight is, I want to watch. And yeah, and I also want to mention Joel Alvarez, who recently moved up from lightweight and defeated Joel Alvarez. Loki could have finished Joel Alvarez, and then also with that stupid ref at the last round when they're in the inverted triangle position. Let's just say Joel Alvarez is still on everybody's radar and is a great prospect, and see what he can do in the welterweight division. So I just want to add those honorable mentions. But yeah, man, all these dope ranked fighters, the champion Jack Della Maddalena being just one of the coolest fighters in the world, Islam Makhachev just being like one of the modern day GOAT, modern day GSP right here, right? Having an elite resume, and all of this stuff is just going to go down in UFC 322. Who's hyped for it, man? Because I know I am. And hopefully y'all can like, comment, subscribe, and tap in with the streams because I'm going to be streaming the fight companions and tap in with your boy.